What's going on, people? Welcome to another episode of Courtside Fracas. Another week in the NBA. We've plenty to catch up on. We are talking draft, we are talking trades, we are talking free agency. It's all been condensed into one mad week, really, with this new season. So it's going to be a lot to cover. It's myself, Yassi, and James hosting as per usual. This week I'm joined by Morayo. What's going on, my friend?
Yeah, I'm not good. I'm all right, man. I can't complain.
Say no more. Niyi, what's good?
In terms of basketball, it's been alright, man. Like,
really? Because we're gonna get into why man not been alright.
Like, it's been alright. I mean, I'm drafted, didn't start off well, obviously, but we'll get into that later. But apart from that, yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. And then Canyon, you're still probably just riding off a wave of like, what? No draft picks, just looking at how everybody's doing, thinking.
All the broke boys trying to get inside the club, you see. It don't matter though. No, I'm good, man. I'm just, like you said, riding the wave. Just still a winner. And you guys are all trying to catch up.
Well, we'll see in this, especially with all the moves being making, who is making that gap, the smallest and the narrowest. Look, only the other day, as anyone who will be on the Twitter will have seen Courtside Fracas, at Courtside Fracas, I was doing the live draft coverage. So we're going to talk draft, and if you had missed that, or if you aren't so sure on some prospects, go check that out. It's still a pinned tweet. It goes through every first round prospect, some strengths, some little profiles, everything like that. Second rounders, I mean, I have a life. Like, I couldn't stay up until 6 doing it all. But yeah, majority is there, and it's given me a new found respect for these Wad Shams brothers. Like, the stamina these lot need. Obviously, they ain't got a time zone difference, but the stamina these lot need is a different level. I can't even lie. So, I tell all of those lot, what we can do with a week is try and condense as much of the NBA as we can. As anyone knows, it's the fastest moving probably sports media, sports movement, sports transaction thing out. Just last week, there was an explosion Saturday, Sunday, Monday of Russell Westbrook, James Harden, both went out of Houston. Just to recap on that, it seems to have all gone quiet on the Harden front. I think Houston aren't going to be stupid. They're not going to give away someone like James Harden unless they get a big haul in return. Maybe they're just waiting for post-draft to see how that moves, but all quiet on that. Russell Westbrook similarly looked all quiet until it kind of leaked out the other night that Washington were looking at trading him for John Wall, probably the only other man on as unmovable a contract in the NBA. And the response to that now is John Wall, who, to be fair, when he's not throwing up signs and moving brazy and, bees up, he's done a lot for that city. People in Washington love him. So that says a lot that he wants to leave. But is this guy all right, Morayo, to be leaving? The guy hasn't played the NBA basketball in 2 years. He's on $40 million a year. What's he thinking, asking for a trade?
Don't know. I think. I think for him, maybe it's just a change of scenery. They haven't had much success over there, even when he was healthy. I think he had one or two, maybe even saying two too many, one notable playoff series. And I think, maybe he's just jaded and he wants a change of scenery. I'm surprised because they've stuck by him. My man was listening to a pod and their GM was on there and he was talking up the talks. They've obviously kept Bertans as well. Bradley Beal's coming off the best individual season of his career, and he's looking only really to go from strength to strength. They've got Rui Hachimura as well. They've got pieces, man. They've got pieces, and you're looking around. And if, for example, it was a switch for him, for Russ, why would you leave Washington for Houston? It doesn't make sense to me at all.
You look on the decline.
There may be more to it that's not necessarily on the surface.
This is the thing. I think the Athletic kind of hinted that he weren't happy that they're going to build around Beal or something. So, like, what are you expecting, bro?
Beal is a much more. Sorry to just cut in there, K. Beal is a much easier plug and play player in terms of his skill set. Like, you look at teams around the league and you say what team could Beal fit into? All 30. You could literally put Beal in any starting lineup and the team wouldn't have to do much to fit him in. And he's younger. So when you get those two boxes, I don't know exactly what he's thinking, but I guess you become a star and you excel in sports and in life generally by having a chip on your shoulder. And probably he's thinking, listen, I'm healthy for the first time in a couple of years, and I'm coming for all the titles, isn't it? I want to be seen as the best point guard in the league. But I think his time's gone now, really, and building around Bill makes the most sense.
And it's tough. Like, he ain't specified Houston, but it's like part of the reason Washington haven't contended for 2 years is they've had 40 million sitting on his up. Not by his fault. I'm not saying he was whatever, but guy's been out for 2 years. You've got to just get back into playing more than anything else. But anyway, we'll see how that one develops. John Wall, if he is back, he would be a big boost for them. But we'll see how that goes. Other news. Obviously, look, this is not going to be a usual NBA season when it does get back off the ground. Toronto Raptors, at least in the very short term, are now going to become the Tampa Raptors, having to play in Florida, their own sort of, I don't know, people like the bubble that much. They want to head back to near Orlando where that was. But Canada just aren't trying to let no Americans in, so they don't care about the NBA. They're just like, nah, bounce. NBA sort of dates and important bits have come out as well. 72 games, we kind of knew that. You're going to play 4 games in your division, 2 games against other conferences, 4 games against another division, and 3 with your conference. And so they're going to just slide off 10 games there. They're going to try and limit travel as much as we can, all nice stuff like that. Interestingly, they ain't released a second half schedule of the season. So I think even the NBA are like, listen, let's just get to March. Let's just see what is going on, because who knows what's going to go on. And announce as well that the play-in tournament is going to be back, which I really liked in the bubble. But now it's not just 8v9 for 8th. It's going to be 7 and 8 up for grabs, 7v8 after some rounds, including 9 and 10. Loser of 7v8 will face the winner of 9v10 for the 8th seed. So it's I think they're trying to get that TV deal back in some creative way. So good for them. December 22nd, we are tipping off. December 11th is when preseason will tip off. So, boy, it's coming thick and fast. And then March, we'll see where things are. But, it's not going to be a normal season by any means. Golden State, as we'll talk of now, are one of the most sort of affected by all of this, really, in that they launched a new stadium, opened that, boom, went and gentrified themselves, sold their soul, Niyi left Oakland in the ditch. But that's okay when you're making millions. Who cares about the people? Anyway, that's fine. New stadium cost a bit of change. No one coming in last year when you were tanking. No one coming in post-COVID. And now they've actually been rejected by San Francisco to have people in. They only wanted 9,000 out of 30 and still just no. So going to be a funny season. Another bit of news that's really going to impact your Golden State Warriors, moving into sort of now what we've got facing us play-wise is Klay Thompson. So news that no one really wanted to hear this week, in that Klay, who just missed an entire season off a torn ACL on his left leg, has now torn his Achilles tendon on his right leg in a pickup game, and he's out. He's out for the season, to the point where Golden State have just been like, he's done. Look, can we go get a sort of disabled player exception to sign someone again? He's pretty gutting for everyone, I think. Like, Klay's pretty unproblematic. He's a guy who works hard. He's a good two-way player. He's unassuming. You know, everyone kind of likes Klay Thompson, I feel like, except for maybe Canyon, who says he can't dribble or whatever. But
who cares about that, man?
But apart from that, he's pretty well liked. So it's shit for everyone, really, but it's particularly shit for you, Niyi.
Obviously, man.
So, I mean, look, what impact's that going to have? Obviously, you were thin anyway. The depth wasn't there this year coming in. You were really banking on Thompson, Curry, Draymond.
Yeah.
Original 3. Let's go again. To lose one of that 3 now, what are you looking at after the season of just being out of contention entirely? What are you looking at?
It was a shit timing, man. And we were pretty excited for the draft. We had the number 2 pick. And then 20 minutes before, when we get the news that Klay got that injury, innit? And you're just thinking to yourself, it's gone from a situation where we're hyped to get that pick and maybe build some pieces around it and push for next season and be a real contender. And now with Klay down, to be honest, I still think we're a playoff team for sure. I think we're going to add some pieces. Yeah. I hear Lars in the background, but cool. No, for real. I think
he has something in his throat. Hold on. Before you get into that, the West is looking wild west. Canyon has something in his throat. Phoenix, Minnesota maybe, New Orleans a year older. Canyon, are they a playoff team? Because even with Clay, that people were sort of talking 4th seed, are they still a playoff team in the West? Dallas, Grizzlies looking all right. Are they still a playoff team? Portland, are they still a playoff team?
When you say playoff team, yeah, I normally associate like solid playoff teams like 1 to 6 who could actually they're respectful. They can maybe challenge each other, do a little something. The scrappy 7th and 8th seeds, although they're there, they'll get.
You accidentally went on mute, but I'm with you. While you sort that out, the
I'm muted.
the scrappy 7th and 8th teams, a bad week and you're out. A bad week. You got a playoff system. You got to play in to navigate, mate.
Not only that, you wanna put your hopes on an itty bitty Steph. Go put the Warriors on his back in 2020 after missing last year.
He ain't lasting 72 games. He's missing at least 10% of the season.
Guys, there's too much negativity right now, to be honest. There's too much negativity.
I was just like, what's happening? This is like bullying. I don't want to stand in a little bit. I'm just hearing Morayo's powered on. Yeah, he ain't lost in 72. Yeah, you tell him, Canyon.
Steph is my guy, but he sat out last year with a broken pinky. And now you want to sit on Draymond Green in 2020.
You see Draymond Green doing videos like pounding the ball and like beating guys. Make some threes, sir. Make some open threes, sir. Please. Please. Don't worry about pounding the ball. Make some open threes, please, sir.
So listen, Niyi, you got the floor, my guy.
Every week I'm defending Draymond Green in this podcast.
Niyi, this is a convincing argument. You got the floor. Golden State's reactions to this have been get Kelly Oubre Jr.
Very expensive buy.
Didn't have to get that and give that, and got it for free. Packaged to OKC, cool. It's a savvy little move, man. He's 19 points, only 25, 6 rebounds, over a steal per game last year. You know, he's had a career year. Good player, versatile player. But
he's not Klay Thompson,
yeah. And Brad Wanamaker again, like nifty little player. I like Brad. I've just had him, but this is you got the floor, bro. Like, are you still this playoff team? Because I've just heard a convincing argument against what you said.
Yes, we are, because we've still got a few moves to make, innit? I mean, we got this disabled player section, which is about 9.8 mil or something like that. We can get like a Derrick Rose, backup point guard. We got the mid-level section. We could get a Gasol, and then trade one of our bigs, get another wing. I mean, I'm definitely out of contention, and I think people are forgetting how good Curry is. And like whether he lasts 72 games or not, we'll see. But if he does, and that's what we can only predict right now, then I think we're comfortably a playoff team for sure. And we give a lot of trouble.
72 games when his recent history shows that he is injury prone. He's especially injury prone player because of his build and the way players choose to play him. They're very, very physical with Steph Curry, and it wears him down. So most seasons you see that he starts the first 10, 15, 20 games and he's electric because that's when he's at his most fit. And he slowly just gets hacked and hacked and hacked. People are very physical with Steph. Eventually, I imagine him taking some, and there's no Clay. I imagine him taking some time off during the season with the condensed nature of the schedule.
And this is the thing as well, Morayo. Like, you got no Clay, you got no KD. They're double teaming Steph all day. Like, who they're gonna kick it out to? Kevin Looney? Like, they're double.
I've seen videos like that. Very one-sided.
Eric Pascal, come on, bro.
Bro.
Now look, with Oubre, he's a decent shooter. I think he was 36% from the free, 30% from the free last year. Look, I think we got a decent team, and we can definitely work with it. And like, I think we're going to play like a different offensive system this year because we got Wiseman. He's different to our other bigs from previous years, and like Bogut and Zaza. He's not so much of a passer, but he's more athletic. He's more of like a rim runner. And we got Wiggins. I mean, in that situation, I'm more hoping for the best than actually basing.
But this is another thing with Wiggins, though. When you got Wiggins, everyone said trade piece. Piece.
I agree. It was.
Like, just see what they can move him for. That's gone now to all right. He has to actually come through and be.
I'm all for us.
He needs to be your third best player. Really,
it's the empty calorie stats, man. Listen, I'm as sad as anybody about Clay going down injured, just because, like you say. Yes, everybody loves Clay. He's a good guy. He's a great player. He just gets on with it. He's kind of got that old school mentality, not worried about the limelight. Just goes out there and makes winning plays on both ends of the court. And I wanted to see you guys give it a real go without KD and maybe make a push for the Western Conference Finals. Now, listen, man, I don't think you're going 500, to be honest.
Oh, I didn't want to say that. Listen, like I tweeted earlier on the account, I just came to see my enemies really dead.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys are in the mud.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are in the mud, and it's a beautiful sight. Honestly, I'm sad Clay's injured. Like you said, it'll be good to see him back. Like, how many times can people score like 60 points or whatever on how many dribbles in a game?
On like 5 dribbles,
how many touches? Like, it's crazy. So he's a sensational player, and it's a shame that he's down again, especially with like back-to-back season-ending injuries. I'm sure that's crazy for someone mentally as well. But hopefully he comes back stronger. But as of right now, that sympathy's in the mud. As are you. This is fantastic, honestly. Like this is what I've been waiting for. Like,
listen,
guys are in the mud.
We're good, to be fair. It's fine.
I'm gonna give you your branch back that you can just cling to and hope to not get taken away by the wind. And that is James Wiseman, right? So okay. The reward you're meant to have for a season that stunk as much as last year is second pick in the draft or first or whatever have you. Now, you've gone James Wiseman. James Wiseman divided a lot of people because he only played 3 college games. So people are like, what's the sample size? Is this guy just big? I quite like the look of Wiseman. He's got a nice little shooting stroke. He's 7'1", 7'6" wingspan. He's huge, but he's athletic. He's not just the lumbering big. Obviously, he's a rookie. He hasn't even really played college ball. So that's a big project there. But you have got the second pick in the draft to kind of rely on and maybe connect the end of that last era to the beginning of what's going to happen now. Is that enough? Are you happy with Wiseman as the second pick? Would you have gone anywhere else as a fan? Are you excited for it, or are you more on the other side of the divide?
I'm very happy with the pick. Like, to be honest with you, when I look at the draft and like see the players who went before and went afterwards, I personally think we probably did the best in terms of we got someone who was suitable to our play style and in a position that we needed. And we got someone who's going to change up our offense a bit and is going to give us a bit more athleticism, which is what we needed. And we needed more length. So I think it's a very good pickup. And just from like the scouting reports that I read and like the videos I watched from him, he seems very locked in. Like he's been working out like 3-4 times a day. He just seems like the sort of personality that's going to work well with the Warriors. So I'm just hoping that we can get a veteran big to kind of like guide him and help him with his efficiencies, and I think we'd be good to go.
And he speaks Mandarin, so he
does speak Mandarin,
through the roof, you're laughing there. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Marc Gasol is linked, so that would be a really, really good sort of passing big. I mean, he's slowed down a bit, but it'd be good considering the situation you're in. So let's talk draft. We've just got number 2 pick. Obviously, like I said, the entirety of the first round and some profiles there are 1 to 30 on Courtside Fracas Twitter. Number 1, nobody surprised, Anthony Edwards, Minnesota, although they were fielding trade calls until the very, very last minute. But Anthony Edwards, 2-way wing from Georgia State, looks a good player, athletically fantastic. Could be really decent for them. And then 3rd, Mr. LaMelo Ball, which I know you're going to chime in, Niyi, as you have some stocks in there. Canyon, look, as a Laker, you have it sickens me still to this day, but you have the privileged position of just watching this draft, and the only real thing you had to do in it was get Dennis Schroeder and then give away a pick, and then you just watched everybody else swarm beneath you. So let's talk winners and losers. Like, the draft dust has settled, we've all had a look at the prospects. Who did you have coming out particularly well? Not really considering sort of free agents and trades just yet. We'll get onto the whole offseason in a sec, but just the young potential fits that people came out of that draft with.
I like what Detroit did, getting Killian Hayes, because obviously having played in Europe, I know there's a consensus that people, when they play in Europe, their game maybe a bit more rounded and they're not as athletic, but he looks like he could be a great prospect. There's a few draft boards that had him pretty high, so it's a good thing that he fell to Detroit. And they managed to flip Luke Kennard for a pick. Obviously, he was number 12 when they first drafted him, but he's been injured most of last season. And don't get me wrong, great spot-up shooter, great scorer. But on a 2-way level, he can't really be that guy, I don't think, long-term. So managed to flip him for Sadiq Bey, which the pick translated to. So I think Sadiq Bey could be like a nice 2-way winger. And
Sadiq Bey, another spot-up guy, really, like another good catch-and-shoot guy. And
he can probably be a bit more useful on the defensive end than, let's say, Luke Kennard, who just looks like a skinny surfer kid. So, yeah, he might not be able to shoot as well as Kennard, but Yeah, I think they came out pretty positively.
I like that you're getting your canard jabs early in, considering where he's gone, and he's parking up in LA looking for a flat right now. So
that sounds like a him problem, personally. So, weirdly enough, like I know Minnesota took Edwards first, but that's a weird one as well because
Yeah, I'm not really feeling that.
Georgia went 16-16, didn't do that well. He was not very efficient. His shooting numbers are, let's say, 40% from the floor, I'm seeing, and 13th place out of 14 in the SEC. So I know the SEC is hard, but bro, like, if you're the number one draft prospect, the only person whose team stunk that much and got picked number one, and obviously he's gone on to great things, is Ben Simmons. And obviously Ben Simmons has the fact he's a 6'10" point guard. But yeah, Edwards is going in from being first option to do whatever I like at Georgia to now being third option behind D'Angelo and Cat. So I want to see how they fit in.
you think that could help in a way, though? Like, I mean,
Well, he's
He
not
wants,
the
to be in
spot
the
shooter.
he wants to be in the NFL, man. He's just here for vibes, man. He's here for the
He's not a great shooter. He's not a great shooter, firstly. And they've also just re-upped on Malik Beasley as well. So I'm not really sure what they want to do with him. But don't get me wrong, like Dwayne Wade gave him his cosign, but at the same time,
yeah,
Pele gave Robinho his cosign and Freddie Adu. So I don't really mean nothing.
yeah. I mean, Pele once said Nicky Butt was the best midfielder in the world as well. So
This
you know,
is it.
some of these guys who played maybe can't see a lot. But I mean, it's an interesting point. So a lot of people bring up this Georgia thing, like he's just come from a stinking team. But then I guess the argument is, if you're the option, that's it. Your efficiency might suffer. And then if he's not a great shooter, you've got D'Lo and Cat who are going to be chucking them up anyway. So, but it's a good point. Like, contributing to winning is a very important metric that goes a bit undercited. And then Morayo, you got a point as well that there might be some doubts on character there and maybe investment.
Hey, it's a job, man, at the end of the day. Like, I don't care if your focus isn't very much like, say, the NBA or the NFL, but the matter is, like, he's made it through high school, he's made it through college, and then made his NBA. Like, obviously, he's very good at basketball, and even though it might not be his number one thing he wanted to do, like LeBron wanted to play in the NFL, but the fact is, you're so good at this one sport, like, you have to work hard to be here in the first place regardless. So I don't think there's an issue that he won't be focused. He'll start going to NFL tryouts in the off-season.
Nah, man. I think when you get to the NBA, that is what makes the difference. The league is talent. Every player in the league is, from some point in their career, they were the best player in their state. They were the best player in their year. They were the best player in their university. The best player at their position. Once you get to NBA level, this is what separates guys. So it's going to be interesting. I know the scouts and the teams always say that when they're doing the character analysis, what they look for is players who have that passion for the sport, because the passion is what keeps you training hard when you've now gone from, you know, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches to making $5 million dollars a year playing basketball. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with him.
Yeah.
Minnesota, this is the Timberwolves, isn't it, man? Like they've got good pieces. They've got good pieces, but it's all about putting them together to make a cohesive team. They've got enough outside shooting, to be honest. You got Towns, who almost shoots 40%, if not
40 for his career.
Mate, Malik Beasley can shoot as well. D'Lo, who I'm not sure about D'Lo. He's all right. He has his
At least.
You watched him, Niyi. You watched D'Lo.
D'Lo, yeah.
Yeah. So I know he's up and down, isn't he? So we'll see, man. Obviously, they said going in that this wasn't the most talented draft to start with.
Nah.
There's always going to be like one or two who end up being like all-stars and end up making a stamp in the league. So we'll have to see.
You know what though? I think they said the thing about that draft, and it's not the most talented, but like even
rounded.
As a Celtics fan, like at 26, I was still like, oh, I want him. And at 14, I was like, he might drop. And even in the second round, there were some interesting ones. Even though I think Celtics were one of the bigger losers of the draft. I'll get into that. But if you look at, a lot of people have said the Timberwolves didn't do well, and then the Pistons, they took a center, Isaiah Stewart, at like 16, and he was seen as like early second round. So I don't know about that one, but they've got one of the best point guards in the draft class. Sadiq Bey, who's looking like a really good two-way guy. I think you were bang on with that one, Canyon, in that Pistons have been so fucking irrelevant for so long, and they got Blake on the treatment table half the time. D-Rose just come out of it. Like, they need to just start again. So to get 3 solid pieces out of a draft to start that, I think is really good. Timberwolves, though, they got Jaden McDaniels and Leandro Bolmaro at Barcelona. Now, them two straight away, you look at them and you're like, what's going on here? But
yeah, not being.
I like them. I like McDaniels and Bomara, they're both massively flawed, but I like what they could be. Bomara as a playmaker apparently is fantastic. And McDaniels is just like he's 6'9", but moves like a wing. He's got ball handling. He's quick. He's actually like just a tall wing. He's not really a big power guy.
Now that's the game.
And they got Rubio in a draft day trade, which like okay, yeah, Rubio cool. He's not gonna win you a chip or anything like that. But you got someone like D'Lo who maybe you're worried about handing the keys to. Maybe that's the perfect person to bring to play. So Timberwolves got a lot of shit for it, but I think they came out as one of the winners, man.
Like Charlotte too, like LaMelo Ball, baby. Like,
I think Charlotte,
for sure.
it's as simple as relevance for Charlotte.
W.
They've got a player now who people are going to watch.
Nothing going on there. I think they're with that Hayward contract. I think they kind of almost undid all the good that they did by LaMelo. You're just getting off Nick Batum's madness of a contract.
You don't even
let it simmer. You don't even let the idea of it simmer and having some space on your cap, and then you go get Gordon Maga Hayward, man. But we'll get to that.
I think
you know what?
Decent.
It's one of the. We'll get to that. But he's a good player. But that's a bad amount. It's not even the 30. It's not even the 30. It's the 4 year 30.
4 years. I know.
Solid, flat. That's the problem. Yeah. I think, Niyi, you have an eye on any big losers of the draft?
Big losers. I don't really know what's going on with the Cavs, to be honest. I'm not too sure.
Well, the Cavs got a good player, but the Cavs are still the Cavs.
Exactly. And I mean, the guy can't really create his own shot.
No.
I mean, he's probably the best defensive player in the draft. Like, they talked
it's Isaac Okoro that you're talking about, right?
Yeah. So I'm Isaac Okoro. Probably the best defensive player in the draft. But I mean, I just don't really see how that fits in with what the Cavs are trying to do at the moment. Because I'm not really. I mean, what they won like 20 games, 14 games last year, something shit like that. And like, I don't know. Like, you just look at their backcourt, you just look at the team. Overall, it just seems like a team that's a bit lost. Like, they don't really have any like one direction. And I don't really expect him to come in and like set some like defensive culture and get like Sexton into shape. So I'm not really too sure where they're going.
So I'll be real with you. I agree in a way that I think a loser came out at the 5th pick. But I don't think it was Cleveland. I think it was Isaac Okoro. Because I think that guy could have jumped onto a contender and given like Kendrick Nunn minutes of solid guard defending and just being gritty and contributing straight away to a contending team just with how good he is as a defender. But for him to be in Cleveland, like that skill set...
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's just not a good fit. Yeah, it just doesn't work.
It's a weird one, for sure. Because I know they've drafted Colin Sexton, Darius Garland, and then one other guy, I can't remember his name. This is eluding me at the moment, but yeah, they're clearly focusing on the last 2 picks they've had. At least were focusing on offense, so you would hope like maybe there's some structure, like cool, Okoro's coming, maybe there's some defense, but they're just giving up Tristan. I say giving up, but Tristan Thompson's just left, so I'm not really sure what's really going on. So yeah, the only real losers of that trade is literally Okoro having to live in Ohio. So that's just it, to be fair.
But by the way, on free agent, we're going to skip ahead as well. But has anyone seen Tristan Thompson's Instagram and how excited that guy is to not live in Ohio anymore? It's mad. It's mad. Morayo, any other losers that you're spotting out of this draft?
You, man, to be honest, you're Celtic. So
moving on to free agency. To be fair, I don't really want to go free agency.
This guy's here to rattle us today, man.
Hayward's done you lot dirty, don't you think?
Did you not listen to me 3 weeks ago, blood?
I did, but let's talk about it. First
on the draft. We got a guy at 14 who shot 50% in college. The jury's out if that's going to translate. If he translates to even 38, I'm good. If this guy comes in like Carson Edwards and all he's got is a shot, Aaron Neesmith, I haven't seen him like that. I didn't watch Vanderbilt. I don't know. And then we drafted a point guard, Peyton Pritchard, who's like a good senior college player at 26. Trey Jones, Tyrell Terry, who else? There was at least 3 point guards that went after him, which were consensus higher on every mock draft, big board, everything. And then when Danny Ainge got asked about him, he's like, yeah, he's going to make his teammates run. And that's, for fuck's sake, like, that's the part of the old school thing that does do my head in.
Age might be done, man.
You know what? We've got. I mean, look, I'm just gonna shout out Philadelphia 76ers because I think Tyrese Maxey and Seth Curry in a draft night trade is an amazing way for Morey to
big
start.
W.
Something. Shout out, I hate everything the Sixers do, but shout out Daryl Morey because he's come in there straight away. That was my main winner of the draft. Isaiah Joe, decent little second rounder as well. Keep an eye on him. Let's get to free agency then, boys. Look, Danny Ainge.
Oh, Danny boy, the lights are on.
Danny Ainge is a hoarder who does not like to commit, and I think there's one of the things which a lot of Celtics fans have gotten wound up about is there was word that, look, Hayward, I said it on the pod the other week, if Hayward leaves and doesn't want to give something back to the team, listen, I know, elite sport, yeah, cool. I think that says a lot about a man's character. I don't even care. Considering the 3 years he's had, it's not just like he's just come in, done all right, and then bounced. People were asking to trade this guy weekly, monthly. Danny Ainge, public record, like, nah. Like, we really do buy into Gordon. They wanted him to stay. They wanted him to opt in. They wanted him to... Brad Stevens recruited this guy out of high school. And then to have a year, obviously horribly off because of injury, must have been tough. But then to have a year where that coach is forcing you into the lineup to the detriment of everybody else, according to reports, because of what they believe you have and they want you to play through it, that's basically another year off. And then he had a third year where he was fantastic. Last season just gone. He was fantastic. But I get it. He's third and fourth option because he came in and things have changed. But also, like, broken hand in November and sprained ankle in the playoffs, which is the difference between us. I know he came back for the kid and that he owes the guys, I think, just a little bit, because him leaving just leaves us with not much to do. We basically used our cap space already on Jeff Teague, who I know has his detractors, but I think as a second, third point guard, listen,
he's all right. He's all right as a second, third point guard.
Yeah, like, we're not going to be relying on him, so we'll see what happens with that. And also, funny little fact is, Brad Stevens also tried to recruit Jeff Teague out of high school. He loves him. Like, he's like his favourite point guard of the last 10 years, which I found hilarious. And then we've got Tristan Thompson, which, look, the banter on that call,
that's not bad.
The Garden.
That's calm. I don't mind that.
Finally, Clutch have infiltrated the Boston Celtics. I'm not too happy about that, but he's a massive upgrade on Enes Kanter. He is a massive, and he's the right age. He's basically just had 2 years off in Cleveland doing fuck all in the postseason.
Oh, man, he's been in Calabasas.
He's had 2 years off, so he's a fresh 29. I think he's excited about moving to a contending-ish team. So I'm happy about Tristan Thompson, I can't lie. And he's decent money, 9.5, 2 years, we'll run with that. But Danny Ainge, allegedly, in this chat with Indiana, could have got Miles Turner, Doug McDermott, was sticking for something more. He wanted Oladipo, he wanted TJ Warren. And it seems like that is when Charlotte have come in and just been like, right, that trade's taking long. That ain't happening. Here's 30 mil. The counter argument is they could have done that all along and we just didn't know, in which case we're stuck. But I don't know. I feel like a lot of anger towards Ainge is getting directed based off potentially not getting anything back off Hayward. This is fresh off Horford doing the exact same thing. Now, listen, they're being bought out by crazy money, but you got to have contingencies, and we'll see. Like, by the end of the day, we should find out if we get a trade exception or something back, but I don't think we will. Charlotte don't have the incentive to do that. So, yeah, I don't know. In Danny, we trust in it. In Danny, we trust.
MJ screwing over the Celtics once again, yeah.
But then it's currently sign and trade though, so I'm seeing some rumors that, of course, you guys did him a few favors a while ago. So I believe that even though Hayward's going over, that it could potentially maybe be a sign and trade, and the details will come out later. But if it's not, that'll be brilliant. But then again, like 30 million. Also, as well, the fact is he wanted to go to Charlotte back before he came to you lot.
Yeah.
Even before, they offered him an offer sheet, I think, like 2016 or so. Yeah. But then Utah matched it.
When he was a restricted free agent, yeah, which is
Utah matched it.
I've never seen someone so fucking dying to go Charlotte. There must be some Republican clubhouse there.
Charlotte.
I don't know.
Got himself there, so
he just loves team and light blue. But listen, I mean, look, let's kick it off. That is the biggest sort of money exchange of free agency we've seen so far. Gordon Hayward, Charlotte Hornets, 4 years, 30 million. The initial reaction from everybody is, what the hell is going on there? So, Niyi, you said it's a good deal.
I mean, in the sense they've got a good player, and I think it'd be a good fit. And that one extra year does make a difference if they could have gotten it down to 3. But I mean, hey, whatever, man, because it's Charlotte. They've been pretty obscure for the last, I don't know, since they basically started as a franchise. To be honest, they've had a couple post seasons, but that team was pretty shit. So sometimes you just got to get over the hump, and you got to invest and overspend to add some relevancy to your team. And they got LaMelo now, so there's a possibility this year they can make the playoffs, and then you just kind of build from there, don't you? So sometimes you got to invest a lot to build for the future, sort of thing. But yeah, if this doesn't work out, then MJ, he's probably already the worst executive in the league or owner.
Now that Vlad's bounced from the Kings, maybe, yeah.
Nah, it's James Dolan. James Dolan holds supreme.
He's a close
in his own league.
He's
in his own league.
Yeah. I don't know, man. They have a lot of bad contracts, don't they? A lot of guys that they're overpaying. So we'll see. Someone who I feel was a winner. Fred.
Well, how would you grade that? Because I know you're quite balanced, Morayo. A, B, C, D, plus, minus. How would you grade that?
The trade
the Hayward signing for Charlotte?
Hayward?
Considering where they are.
C. I think I'd give him a C for that.
That's an expensive C, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's an horrible expensive C, mate. 30 million. Mate, if I could work for one
they're a C team. It's what they needed. They're a C team. So sometimes you need to invest that sort of money, isn't it?
Any of us could work for 1 out of 4 years and just about perform in one of them and get paid double. Mate, I'll do it. Of course you would.
Yeah, I'll give them a C. Like Yas says, he had a really good season last year. So it's about him staying fit. But I think he does bring in that veteran experience, somebody from LaMelo to learn from. They do have bad contracts on their books, but these contracts are coming off in the next couple of summers. So things will open up and they will have options. Listen, essentially, this all basically, LaMelo is what they're banking on. He's going to make them more watchable, but depending on how good of a player he becomes, that kind of dictates where the future of Charlotte goes. If he ends up being a bust, they're screwed and you have to rebuild again. But then if he ends up being a star, which a few people are predicting he could be, then things suddenly look brighter. I think we all know the hardest thing to find is that main guy who can lead your team. And then in terms of the pieces you put around them, across the league, you have a lot of options. And there's only so many contracts that are available for players when they're trying to cash in. So, yeah, I'm going to be watching them a lot more.
Just before we move on to another deal, Morayo, because I don't want to dwell on it, but we said the other week, one of the main suitors for Russell Westbrook was Charlotte. That window's gone.
Yeah,
so his market is looking even tougher now. But
there's no market. There's no market for him. There is no market.
I mean, this was one potential 50-50 one, and it's just gone. The money's gone to Hayward, and the point guard spot's gone to LaMelo. Niyi, as the only guy I think in the UK who would probably have big baller brand clothes somewhere in their yard.
Nah, chill.
Where LaMelo or Lonzo? Straight up, 5 years. First 5 years in the league, who's going to achieve more? Who's going to be a better player?
I think LaMelo will be a better player.
I was
going to say you're just banking that on these last 2 years.
To be fair, his dad said it from the jump.
Exactly. Yes, what I'm saying. He said it, and Zoe said it. He's going to be the best player. I mean, what was he? 6'7"? He's athletic. He's a really good passer. He's got decent basketball IQ. I guess the only thing that he really needs to work on is his defensive intensity, and just his overall
and his shooting.
Yeah. His shooting's a bit erratic, and his form is nasty. But yeah, man, he's definitely got a lot of upside. So it's the case with Charlotte. If they can get this right, and they got MJ, and if he can guide them, they could have a real star in their hands. And obviously, it's really hard to especially as you said earlier. It's hard to recruit a star to these small market teams, and you can see now with the Bucks, they're kind of fucking up the base, to be honest, with Giannis and these signing trades, and yeah. So
look, let's go straight there, because the Bucks have done one of the dumbest things I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So mad on goal. So just to clarify with everyone, Bucks caused waves last week, and everyone felt, they've smashed this. They got Drew Holiday got Bledsoe out, which was not helping them in the playoffs at all.
Thank goodness.
That's good. George Hill out. Gave away a lot of picks for that, by the way. 3 first-round picks over the next few years and 2 pick swaps, which if Giannis is to leave, or if they're... that's risky stuff. But okay, everyone was gassed about that, and then they were like, second trade up, sign and trade, Bogdan Bogdanovic, and basically all of the rest of their bench. We're talking DiVincenzo, Korver, Ilyasova, who's now been waived. Bogdanovic basically came out and be like, nah, I wasn't told about this. Giannis is my guy, but I was not told about this, and has basically said, yeah, no, I'm not coming. I'm pissed about that, and I'm going to look somewhere else. That's a massive own goal, number one.
Yeah.
He got threatened with tampering stuff. Massive own goal, number two. Pat Connaughton, a little role player for them. News came out, he signed like a 2-year extension with an option, 8 million.
Yeah, 4 a year.
Bro, and then they apparently have just misunderstood what you can actually do with contracts. Like, as a front office who run an NBA team, they've misunderstood, so they had to withdraw the offer, and apparently he's like, well, no, you fucked me about now, lads. So they were like, all right, cool, have another year and another 8 million over the 3 years.
Double more money.
So they've just doubled their money on a player they only offered 2 years in the first place. After originally, I think, offering him in a sign and trade. Good team morale there, lads. Well done. But also, if you're Giannis, you're looking at this thinking, nah, Bobby Portis and DJ Augustin
It's a mess.
are not cutting this for me if you're going to run a front office like that. So where does this leave the Bucks?
Same place.
In the red, man. This is not good. I mean, like, because you got Giannis at home probably looking at this, and like, there's nothing worse when you've got a shit front office. I mean, it drives stars insane, especially when you're working with limited funds, especially someone as the Bucks. Like, they're not even a big market team, so he might ride it out for this year and then look at his options next year, to be honest. But it's not looking good for the Bucks too.
Morayo, like, although this is a bit embarrassing, they've got some good pieces. Drew is massive. I think swapping Bledsoe for Drew Holiday is huge. Kind of rectifying a little mistake I think they made by getting rid of Brogdon so easily. I think there's a bit of overlap with skill set there. And look, no Bogdanovic, but at least they have their bench still. DiVincenzo is still there, decent little player. DJ Augustin as a sort of second guard, you know, he might do a job. Bobby Portis, he's a body and he could shoot a bit for his size. But can this all go away if they contend? If they just sort of rejig stuff or is this like, nah, you know what, this is our set for the next few years? And do you think they've got any better?
They really needed Bogdanovic. Like, they needed... their issue is their floor spacing. Their glaring issue, their floor spacing, and the lack thereof then highlights the deficiencies in Giannis's game. So when we all heard Drew and Bojan Bogdanovic, we're like, oh, hello. So you guys have upgraded at point guard, and you've addressed your spacing. Obviously, you've still got Middleton there as well. So it looks like you've got a little bit of a squad now. Not signing Bogdanovic and everything else you've described around it puts them, for me, in a very, very perilous position. Where are you going to get the shooting from? Like, Giannis is not going to suddenly come back in one off-season, especially when things have the timetable's been moved forward so much. He's not going to come back in one off-season and have developed these deficiencies in his game. I was hearing rumors that he was looking to sign and stay with them. But if I'm him, I'm playing out this whole effing season. Yeah. And I need to see exactly what you guys are made of. They're going to need something to come from somebody. The thing is, Middleton, we question if he's necessarily a number 2 option. But for Middleton, he had a pretty good playoffs. And he gave a lot against Miami. And I think there's the game they did win, he was really good in. And even in the earlier games, he statistically was playing really well. And it was more like Giannis wasn't doing his part and wasn't dominating the paint and getting those easy buckets that we're so used to him getting. Drew's one of the best point guards in the league, plays both ends of the floor, as we all know. So let's see, man. But yeah, him and Bogdanovic, I would have been like, okay, now we're talking. Just him and those itty bitty other pieces.
Yeah, DJ Augustin, Connaughton back. Like, they got to make
doesn't move the needle.
They will need to get a favourable draw in the playoffs to get to the finals, I'd say. Again, if they meet Miami, they don't really want to meet Miami. Again, Toronto, they probably don't really want to meet. Ooh, actually, I think now with Toronto having lost...
Toronto, I think... look, before we get on to Toronto, Canyon, just obviously you're over there in the West, sunny Californian hills, lovely stuff. You don't have to deal with the cold in Milwaukee or nothing. Are they lucky that their superstar, their supermax potentially player, has the character and the background of a Giannis, where what that guy's come from only 10 years ago, 9 years ago, he's maybe got that loyalty because he is different. Like he doesn't work out with bare guys like these NBA players. He doesn't. He wants to win, but I think he really has an attachment and a relationship with Milwaukee. Is that their saving grace, basically, that Giannis is not the type to chase a team? And also, do you want him to join like a little
You
super?
say that,
Or are
but
you
then,
happy with him sticking?
you say that, but then he's fresh off after the end of this year and coming now. He'll be fresh off a 4-year, $100 million contract. So then he'll be looking cool. I'm 26. I wanted to win here, and they almost did last year. But they've had 60 game, 50 game seasons, and not gone anywhere in the playoffs. And as well, they've fumbled this. They're the biggest losers of the off season for me so far because they've messed up the Bogdanovic sign and trade. They've messed up with Connaughton, and they've actually managed to ruin the market for the likes of Ross and James Harden because the fact they gave up so much for Drew Holiday. Like the fact they gave him that much is mental.
Well, it was Denver and Boston massively in for Holiday, and when they heard what Bucks were offering, they were just like,
you know
"Oh,
what? Nah.
safe."
Well, all right, thanks, mate.
The guy's expiring in a year.
He's expiring in the year. He's on 20-odd mil a year. And yeah, so if I'm Giannis, I'm thinking, cool, let's play this year out. Let's see how far we get. And then you have to assess the free agent market next year. Because let's be honest, like no one by choice is going to Milwaukee. Like it's not the place to be.
So, okay, but look, from a fan point of view, look, we've got this whole super team era, everything like that. And I think everyone's kind of rolled their eyes a little bit with the Harden, Kyrie, Durant thing. Do you kind of hope, I do. I'm just wondering if anyone really agrees. Do you kind of hope he does just stay to keep another franchise competitive?
No, I hope he leaves. I'm going to lie to you because I'm not trying to see him in Milwaukee. But then again, half of me doesn't want him to just chase the biggest two stars where they are and just shack up with them. But I'll probably like to see him in a better situation because I don't think that Milwaukee, even though I know they've groomed him, and that was actually mostly Jason Kidd's work, but Coach Bud's taking most of the credit for that now. I don't think like Milwaukee's the best place for him long term. Like I said, like he's in his prime now, and 2 years in a row in the playoffs they've fumbled, partly due to his own shortcomings as well. Don't get me wrong, but I don't feel they've put him in a situation to succeed anyway. Because as we saw, when the shit gets tough for Milwaukee, that straight line driving stuff for Giannis don't work, and giving Middleton 180 million as your second choice is not going to win you any chips, mate. So yeah. As a fan, I'd like to see him somewhere else. Maybe not with a Steph and a Clay or whatever, but I'd definitely like to see him out of Milwaukee because that's the ghetto. You've made your 100 million. Go. You could even make slightly less than your in the sun.
Maybe he needs to go help a Steph and a Wiggins. I don't know. Morayo, overall grade for the Bucks then so far.
D minus.
D or an E, to be honest with you. A D or an E. They've improved. They've improved slightly. But if they do get further than they got this year, it's going to be more because of the other teams getting worse rather than them necessarily haven't gotten better. So I think depending on how the playoff draw pans out, they could see themselves get to the finals. But I don't think they're beating whoever comes out of the West.
Okay, cool. Listen, one of the winners from the draft, in my opinion, Cannon's opinion, is got to be one of the losers so far free agency because I don't know what the hell they're doing. Detroit Pistons, in a 3-day span, signed Mason Plumlee, $25 million over 3 years, traded for Dwayne Dedmon, another big man, drafted Isaiah Stewart, pure big man, as we've said, signed Jahlil Okafor, big man. Blake is there playing the 4, relative big man. Could have signed Christian Wood and didn't, despite throwing the bag at some of these guys. And signed Jeremy Grant. Now, listen, I like Jeremy Grant, but again, he's a power forward. Again, he's a relative big man. Again, he's a slasher, a cutter, a runner. For $60 million over 3 years, that's doubling his money off. He was good for Denver, but okay. They've signed, 6, 7 4s and 5s? Killian Hayes is fuming. What's going on there?
Yeah, so with that, I believe I'll have to check my sources on this, but I'm hearing some rumblings about how with the Jeremy Grant thing, he was thinking, I could be a lot more than, because if we're being honest, we saw Denver last year. Murray came into his own. Jokic is Jokic, and they're really high on MPJ. So he probably got tired of Michael Porter Jr. telling him how great America is and how great their president was. And obviously he's going to be fourth option behind those three because obviously Michael Porter Jr. is probably going to take a step again. So after his great year, going to take a step. I mean, Denver could offer him the same money, but pride is a mad thing in the game of basketball. I think he wanted a bigger role for the same money, and even though it's Detroit, like,
Wait, unless this guy's going to go play at the 3 and take on more than he maybe can.
This is what I think is going to happen.
I think that's what I think is going to happen as well. He did really well in the bubble, like Kay just said. It's baffling to me, but this is what makes the league and what in general makes human beings interesting. The motivations that everybody has, and the obvious option sometimes seems obvious to all of us, but for people it's different. And maybe his motivation is to go to a team like Detroit and build something up. Obviously, I've heard Blake mentioned in trade rumors as well, hearing that he's as healthy, like that gap that teams have had now, he's as healthy as he's ever been, and he's
relatively healthy for Blake.
And he's looking as good as he's looked in a long time. So unless they're looking to move some other pieces around and increase the amount of guards that they've got, they're just one of them teams that are not really going anywhere. They don't even really have a young gem that you can like pin the hopes of the franchise on. So either, we know how it is in the NBA, either you want to be a title contender or you want to be shit. Like, you really don't want to be one of them teams in the middle. Like, and Detroit aren't even in the middle. They're towards the bottom. But you don't want to be one of them teams that's getting like the 7th, 8th pick in the draft. You want to be getting the number 1, number 2, number 3 pick for a few years. So, yeah, they need to decide.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they just wanted to get a bunch of big man and see if the bad boy Pistons thing could work in 2020 just for jokes. I don't know. But
everyone who's won as well. Big men have won. I think maybe it's because of how the Lakers.
Yeah,
but
pioneers, baby.
Big men have been.
There's big men, and there's Jaleel Okafor and Mason Plumlee on 25 mil.
Listen. Everybody wants a Gucci belt till they get to the shop and can't afford one. You see, that's why I've always got to give guys like Jaleel Okafor money. So yeah, the Lakers are really pioneers, baby. We really opened up the market for the big men. So
cool.
Well,
Man.
they won't be
cool. I hope you get. Do you know what? I think it was all Dwight anyway, and he's gone off to join the Sixers for when Joel needs an oxygen tank in the second half of every quarter anyway. So we'll see. Listen, that's a good point. Let's come over to LA. Before we do, there's some really nice deals in there, man. Like that I do like. Dwight Howard is one. I think he'll be good just to rotate in and bang with people when Embiid's out. Someone who cast member Ogden cussed me for not rating, but I thought he was shit. But he is decent, and he's had a good year. Was Clarkson over in Utah? Like, he's a quality 6-man over there. 52 million over 4 years. I think he's earned that.
Yeah.
But Tan's 80 million 5 years goes into some old age, so I'm going like a D, C on that. I don't know about that.
I love this NBA.
But look, let's go to LA and let's rank LA, because we'll start with the Clippers. The Clippers had a massively disappointing season. Everyone expected the Clippers to be so much more than they were. Kennard might be all right, decent if he can stay healthy, cool. I'm talking like C there. But then you've got two ends of the spectrum, right? Ibaka, nicking Ibaka from the Nets, which is what we believe has happened, I think is class.
That's nice.
But Marcus Morris, 4 years, 16 million a year, going into his 35-year-old season. That's he was decent, Marcus. But I like Marcus Morris. He did well for it. He was all right.
That guy's a dickhead.
But yeah, I mean, and he's not he's not a culture builder. He's not a fucking culture builder. Maybe they just thought, it worked for LA, and we've got the other one. Lock him up.
I mean, he did good at Boston, don't get me wrong, albeit that's a few years ago. I'm not sure how you feel about him.
No, he's a decent player. I just wouldn't lock him in for 4 years. He seems more like he can help this year.
Went to New York.
Yeah, he seems more like a 1 year, 2 year. Keep him hungry.
Yeah, like a Jay Crowder sort of guy.
Keep him lean and hungry. You let them man get fat, and yeah, I'm all right. Like, even if these guys get rid of me, I'm still eating for 3 more years. You don't want the Morris boys. You don't want the Morris boys comfy. You want them always thinking about that next contract.
Wait, what's happening with Markieff? Markieff's free agent, right?
Yeah.
Lakers were like, thanks, Markieff. One big game in the finals, but yeah.
No. I don't think the Lakers fans are forgiving him for that boneheaded play. What a bozo. I don't.
This is the other side of what you get with the Morris brothers, and this is the thing, right? Marcus Morris, good player. Probably their third best player in the playoffs. I'd say the Clippers. It probably went Kawhi. I think Zubac was good. and then Morris. But if he is your third best player, that's not a situation you want to keep. That's not something. Who watched those playoffs and was like, yeah, 4 more years of Marcus Morris
After
31
games.
So, boy, look, how are we grading that one? Like Clippers, and they got rid of Shamit for Kennard as well. I think that's worth mentioning. How are we grading that Clippers one? Ibaka changes things.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a C minus. I mean, Shamit's got room to grow, but they ain't got time for that at the Clippers. And even though he probably will end up being better than Kennard, right now what Kennard gives is a certified sniper, spot-up shooter. Not gonna want the ball, whereas Shamit can probably grow into like a 6-man or something more, hypothetically. But yeah, so there's that. I mean, the Ibaka trade is huge because they got rid of Harrell. So obviously, there's a caveat to Harrell going, of course, and Harrell not performing in the playoffs because I like to see the silver lining in things. But yeah, him being besties with Kawhi is great because they can both leave after next year, the player option if they stink. So
well, that's the thing about Ibaka, isn't it? Like, it's noticeable that his contract as a player option the exact same year as Kawhi. Like, that's not an accident. That is, I'll come, but if you go, I'm out.
If you go, I'm out. So he's obviously convinced him because I'm sure Brooklyn were really fiending for him. And then finally, like, Morris, that is just a nasty.
Yuck.
Like, he's the better of the Morris twins, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, like, he's got this contract off. I mean, he's probably got this contract at the back of his New York work because the Clippers, he was there for like 19 regular season games, 13 playoff games. And to be fair to him, to be very fair, he shot 47% from 3 in the playoffs for them. So
he was good. Yeah,
he was good.
It's not about whether he's good once. This is what Morayo said. You want to keep that. It's just in the nicest way. The Morris brothers are mercenaries. They come in, shoot a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
Listen, like that's just literally it. And to give him 60 million, I don't know what they're really expecting. But at the end of the day, man, this is the NBA. Like the money train keeps on coming round, man. Anybody can get paid. So it don't really matter, man. So yeah,
you just have to hope your contract expires in that year where there's
career years are what sports are all about. Listen, there's no
and there's always money. There's always money floating about, man.
Listen,
and you mentioned Harrell. So, firstly, Harrell and Ibaka, even Tristan Thompson, I guess, identically same money, all mid-level exception. Ibaka or Harrell, considering who was sort of available. Where are you on the Harrell one? But then more widely, where are you? Look, I've said on Twitter and got a little bit of heat that I think you lot aren't necessarily a lot better. I think you're different, which isn't a bad thing because you won the chip, right? I think Schroeder in for Rondo is younger and is quicker and is better shooter. But playoffs, Rondo showed his skills in the playoffs though. And then Dwight for Harrell, I don't know. I think people underestimate the impact Dwight had in phases. You got KCP back, 3 years, $40 million. That's a lot of money for him, but I think he earned that. KCP.
Money was on last year because he signed a 1 year. They gave him $1 more million, but 3 years of it, so it's not too crazy.
Okay, so, KCP was big, and then you got Wes Matthews, just another little wing defender, very cheap, 1 year, 3.6. Again, like for the games where maybe Schroeder isn't the defender you want down there, you want to just throw Wes Matthews in there or something. I mean, I think it's better on paper, but I think what almost was you lot's benefit last year is you had Rondo there, I want another ring. Dwight Howard, I want my ring. Jared Dudley, I'm there to wave towels and make everyone feel good. Like that veteran presence was big.
So yeah, let's break it down. So you're seeing Tristan Thompson getting his money and Serge. So Tristan, I don't want him anywhere near LA. He is fantastic, but any closer to the Kardashians is just a problem for us in the first place. So we can't have him anywhere near Calabasas. So that's the first thing. Serge, I would have preferred Serge, don't get me wrong, because I feel he offers more defensively. His offensive game is probably a bit wider than Harrell's. Maybe not down low, but it's definitely because he can stretch the floor. And even if he came to the Lakers, he wouldn't even be asked to do that. He'd probably have a very reduced role. So I think even though he might be thinking, okay, cool, the Clippers want me and I'll be on a contender, the kind of role he'll have there might be a bit more expansive than the one he'll probably have at the Lakers where they just want the big men to rebound. And if it's not AD, don't shoot that ball. So I agree as well that they underestimated Dwight Howard, and I feel he gave some real valued minutes in terms of rough and tumble, made Jokic very uncomfortable in a short amount of time before he adjusted, and other big men, and really wrestled with Whiteside and threw him off his game in the first series. So it's weird because I thought he was saying I wanted to get paid, but then he ended up getting the exact same money he could have got at the Lakers at Philly. But it might come down to situation again and maybe a wider role as a backup. So for Trez, I mean, at this point, it is what it is, man. Like I'm aware he struggled in the playoffs last year, but then if we like to add a nice little caveat to that, as we always like to do, I mean, his grandma passed, who I'm
there was
very, very close with.
like, and then the bubble was hard for a lot of people in different ways.
Yeah, so bubble affected loads of people, as we saw with Paul George. It affected him weirdly and affected loads of other people. But his grandma passed, so he missed part of the bubble, and then he missed the playing games. He also was injured for a bit, so threw him off his game. Defensively, he's not it, but we re-signed JaVale, so there's also that. So he's still got some defensive prowess there, and AD. But I mean, going for the second unit, I think they can rely even less on AD, because we saw at times when LeBron was off the floor, it was AD and Rondo. But we can put Harold there. He'll probably score just as much, give up just as much, but at least we're scoring. So vibe. So there's that. So I think there's like you said, we've not gotten much better, but I think we've gotten deeper in the sense that there's more range to the kind of depth that we have. Like we've lost Avery Bradley, but we managed to get in Wes Matthews on the cheap. That's a certified sniper. I mean, he's digressed recently in a few years, but he can still defend. You've got Schroeder, who I think is a 10 times upgrade on Rondo. I'm sorry, playoff Rondo or not. This is a 27, 28-year-old man who's just come off a 6th Man of the Year candidate kind of year. If it wasn't for Harold, it would be him. So he's just coming from an amazing year, playing at OKC, and he's played at Atlanta before, but he doesn't really strike me as an ego kind of guy, even though people see the dyed hair and the tattoos. Like, he's done his role to a T, played behind Shai and CP3, and was literally essential to them. So I think Schroeder is a fantastic addition to us, especially at the guard level, more so than like a Danny Green or Rondo could give us. Because one, they can both shoot now, and now they can actually both defend. Whereas we were very surprised every time Rondo hit a 3, everyone was writing it down and hoping and praying that it would never end. So that's not a consistent thing. So yeah, I think we've changed. We've definitely changed, but I think that change was definitely needed, because if we went into this season with the damn same team, I don't think we would have probably maybe had people saying we'd go back to back. Even though it's still up in the air. I think we're probably in a better position now than we were last year, because he's not the veterans then. But now, I think people have been paid. KCP, he's going to give you what he gives you.
And obviously those veterans have already instilled that culture. Now you've won. That culture there for itself, right? So
like, Bron is there still.
Fair point.
It's clear what we're about now, because when Bron first got there, the issue was we need that culture. We've not been winning in a while. People are celebrating back in the day when Jordan Hill and that was celebrating after we've won a game, even though we've got a losing record. Kobe sitting there like, what's going on here? But now LeBron's had his first year there, didn't go to plan. Second year, we've won. So that's a big thing. Third year now, the culture's already there, and the type of players that he surrounded himself with is definitely key. I think he's probably one of the better teams he's had, especially if we compare this towards the Cavs to the last time when they were getting like people like Dante Jones and Deron Williams. Like, I think Rob's put LeBron in a better position where he doesn't have to play 35, 36 a game. So it should be interesting, because everyone is catching up to us, and you can't remain stagnant in these positions. Like, as champs, it is impossible for you to say, listen, we're going to go with the same team next year and hope it carries over, because it's just not possible. So, yeah, I mean... And
so how do you as a fan grade that then as a off-season? It's positive.
Oh, 100%. I'll give that like I want to say a B+ to A-. Like, I don't want to give it an A- because...
Yeah, let's not give it... Whoa.
I won't. I'll get there. I'll say B+. Let me wrap. So yeah, so let me relax. Let me not spit too much, because, like we know, Harold's a liability on defense, and we've seen it. And in the West, there's big men like Jokic, and there's Embiid out there, and other men. So that's a hit and miss in a sense. But in terms of keeping KCP and maybe adding that little pieces like Wes Matthews, it's okay. And I think the X factor of all is Dennis Schroeder. That's the biggest one for me. Like, he can shoot, can handle the ball, can defend. It would have been nice. There was whisperings of Bogey, but we can't get Bogdanovic because we didn't have that kind of money that he was wanting. So for what the Lakers were last year compared to now, I have to give it like a B+. So
Okay,
I'll take it for what it is.
Listen, just because of time, we're going to run through just a couple, and then Morayo, Niyi, I'm going to throw them to you. I'm going to get your grades. First off, Miami. Okay, so re-sign Dragic, big money, but re-sign Dragic. Avery Bradley in. Crowder out. Interesting one. Where we put in Miami?
Avery Bradley is a good get. He's a good perimeter defender. He was Lakers' third best player last regular season. He's brought into the culture there. Dragic is Dragic. They missed him. He's their best scorer.
Big time.
Yeah, they missed him when he went down injured. He's still their best scorer, able to get to the rim at will, and the angles he's able to put in these layups from are still ridiculous to this day. A bit much, but that's...
By the way, 20 million on Myers Leonard as well. I'd forgotten that one over the 2 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I don't know about that one.
Okay, so I was thinking B, but now we're probably...
Yeah, I was thinking B minus.
Yeah, I'm talking about probably a C now. I think Dragic and Avery Bradley are very much positive inclusions. I think if they hadn't brought back Dragic, they would have scored. They would have struggled on the offensive end, definitely. Myers Leonard, for that much, is a lot of money. Obviously, they're still kind of keeping an eye out for Giannis to see what's going on there, so they have to keep a bit of flexibility too. But yeah, they go again. Really hope that some of the younger players make a little jump again.
Tyler Hero can bottle what he does on the odd game into the game, and yeah. What are we saying? What are we saying, Niyi, about? Obviously, they've done well with the trades. Philadelphia, Dwight Howard in for the minimum. Al Horford out. That's
a big one.
For nothing, pretty much. That is huge. So, how you think Philly have done with just that swap in itself? And then Seth Curry, of course, has come in. I think that's a really good trade. Josh Richardson lost, but Seth's a better shooter, I'd say.
I think they're going to be B+, to be honest, man, because that Horford contract was nasty, and I just couldn't see how they were going to get rid of that contract, but they managed to navigate that. They managed to get in Dwight Howard, who I think he'll often quite a bit in terms of like defense. Like he'll come in that burst and he'll play well. And then they've got Steph Curry, who's been like shooting lights out. I think
Danny Green
like
came back in that Horford trade as well, but it's kind of like he's on half the money and it expires.
Yeah, so it's all right, man.
45% last year, 44% for his career.
Yeah, that's mad. So and
he's not going to have a year like that again. It's the other thing. He's not.
He definitely will, because he shot 45 2 years in a row. He definitely will.
You talk about Seth?
Yeah.
Seth, however you put it, he's one of the very, very best shooters in the league.
He's got the father-in-law support as well. The network's there. All the family are there. Lovely stuff. No surprise why that one got pulled off. First trade of the draft day, I believe. So what are we saying that then? Final answer they need.
It's probably B+, to be honest.
B+.
It's nice, yeah, man, because like he's a good shooter. They've got shooting Steph Curry, and they've got Dwight, who plays more of like a traditional big man role, and like Horford has to stretch a bit and come out to the perimeter a bit. But now they can like move Simmons and like just let him play point guard and give a bit more space to navigate, and hopefully gives a bit more room to what do you call it? To Embiid to like navigate and just do his stuff in the paint. So yeah, I'll give them a B+, man. That's a great job by Morey.
I got one as well that I'm quite impressed with this, to be honest. And I know that we got a couple Trailblazer fans that we just ain't really given the love to, who follow us. For me, they've done a fantastic job so far, but I'm interested to hear, Morayo, what your grading is for it. Rodney Hood, obviously he's come off big injuries, but he's re-signed for 2 years, and there's a team option on the second, so that's not bad. 21 million over the 2 years. Covington in from Houston. I think that could be a really good trade. Derrick Jones Jr. from Miami, 2 years, 19 million. And they got Melo back for a year, who surprised a lot of people in the playoffs. That's a good little haul so far for the Blazers. And it's Kanter back as well. And like, I know Enes Kanter, yeah, okay, cool, but he did all right for them in the playoffs as well.
Lillard, McCollum, Melo, Covington, and Nurkic. That's a good starting five and a good base to start from. Again, with the NBA, it's just the fine margins that dictate where you come, and turning some of those close losses into close wins is the difference between just getting into the playoffs and getting yourselves into that top six that Kay speaks of. But they've made themselves stronger. They've made themselves more solid. Melo turning it around, because it looked like a year ago that he wasn't coming back into the league, and you're talking about one of the top 20s. He's like, I think 18th or so in terms of points scored all time, and I think he's like, if he averages like 7 points a game this season, he takes himself into like the top 15, top 13. But he's come back, he's been solid, he's helped them spread the floor, played solid defense.
But he was defending like a kid, like they just learned how to do it. His hands were up, He was defending like he just learnt it, for fuck's sake. It was amazing though. Like the buy-in was big.
You always knew. Just put down the Twinkies, man, and just people start calling it Kid Mellow, which this is a disgrace in its own right.
So where'd you put Portland then, Morayo?
I'll give them a strong B. And obviously Covington, he's a good team defender and he does all the little things. At times in the playoffs, he was Houston's best player on the floor, which is saying something when you're playing with two former MVPs in Harden and Westbrook. So yeah, they've made themselves stronger and they're probably looking from being in a position where they just got into the playoffs, but you look around the West and everybody's gotten stronger, man. So they've given themselves a better chance of finishing higher is what I'll say. But yeah, B for them.
Just want to ask a quick question, yeah, but do you lot think Portland are better than Golden State Warriors right now?
No, that would be rude.
Do you know what?
Why are they not?
Why not? Why not?
That was a reflex, if I'm being very honest. It just didn't.
Hold on, knee. Hold on, knee.
What's the memory?
Knee. Let's say Steph over Dame. Which, if I'm honest,
yes, no, that's not.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Yes,
I'm
we're not doing it. We're not doing it.
He's broken his hands. Let's say Steph over Dame. Let's say Steph over Dame. Right, Wiggins or McCollum. And then like even flipping, okay, Draymond, yeah, but what, 32? And then you got Covington and Nurkic are doing a good job up there at 4 and 5. Boy, and then who are you even going to? Wiseman,
great. Nah, I think they're better. I think Golden State is still better, even though they're my enemies. And like I said, the funeral has been fantastic so far.
Why are they still better?
No, they're not falling down better. 100%. Like I said, that was reflex. It just didn't feel right to say they were like Golden State were. But nah, they've got, obviously we were talking about earlier. They've got Wiggins. Obviously, he's not great, but we'll give him 18 to 20. Like,
empty carry stats, man.
Yeah, you know what? I don't want to get. We'll do this one next week. But
I think they're better.
I think that's Firstly, that's an interesting benchmark how the mighty have fallen. But then. I don't know. We'll have to see. Canyon, switching attention to Atlanta. They got Chris Dunn from Chicago, which as a purely defensive guard, you might think, but Trae Young don't even want to do that. Rajon Rondo, you've seen the positive impact he can have just in the back. Like he was in film room meetings almost as a coach with Frank Vogel, he's revealed as saying, and he did instill he added to a good culture there at the Lakers. I think him with Trae Young could be interesting, even if they don't have to play together.
It won't see eye to eye, but it'll be good for him to listen.
It'll be interesting. And then you've got Gallinari there, 60 million over 3 years. What happened to competing? Yeah, all right. And then Okongwu, one of the hottest properties in the draft, is coming as well. Like Atlanta have filled out a nice little roster there.
Yeah, I like what Atlanta have done. It's a weird one, but I still feel they'll get slapped about a bit. So if we,
but they're in the East though, and who are their competition for 7 and 8? Sure. Orlando, Detroit, Charlotte.
We'll see how it comes together because, like you said, they're heavy on the guard now. They've got Kevin Huerter who can shoot and play.
Kevin Huerter does not look like he's as good a player as he is.
Yeah, Chris Dunn is one of the top 5 guard defenders in the league, probably higher if we're being very honest. And then you've got obviously Trae who just does what he does. We're now going to see if those buckets are actually empty, but he looked crazy. You now got Rondo coming in to be that kind of calming influence, whatever, and kind of lead the team in the sense of veteran leadership. And then Okongwu coming in is great. But at the same time,
don't forget John Collins.
I'll get there, bro. Last year,
well, there's a thing about Collins. It might be. I don't know if they want to.
Bro, he wants max money, and if I'm being very honest, he deserves it because he gave them 21, I think, and 10 shooting 40% from the 3 at his size. Like that's.
Listen,
I'm not gonna say.
If they're looking to trade him and they need someone with a trade exception, maybe from a signing trade involving Gordon Hayward, I'm happy to take John Collins.
No.
It's a very specific situation.
If they don't want to pay him, I know someone who might. But yeah.
And he deserves that money, to be fair, because like I said, he gave them 40% from the field, 40% from the 3, 58% from the field, 21 and 10, and a block and a half a game. Like.
Good player, but one of the worst dunk contest attempts, doing too much 2 years ago.
That aside,
but, what are you saying grade-wise, Canyon? Grade.
Grade-wise, I'm gonna give him a C+ because I like what they did.
Yeah,
at the same
maybe
time,
need something again.
I need something. Yeah, I like just. Yeah, we'll see. Next year's the year, but just don't waste the capitals.
And then, I mean, I'm interested in this one. Look, there's going to be a lot to go on this. We still got many weeks, but. Missing out on Ibaka and signing Harris to what was it, 20 mil? Which I know. Sai's not going to be happy with. I don't mind Joe Harris. I think Sai's crying over nothing, by the way, but I don't mind Joe Harris.
You can't defend because while he may shoot 45% from the field or whatever, he's giving up way more than he's scoring. Like, it is impossible. Like, he's a sieve. Like, put me on the court right now and not touch the basketball in the month. I'll give him a jab step, he might drop. So
listen, sorry, I'm sorry. By the way, I got that number wrong. It's
75.
4 years, 75. So my maths ain't even good enough to know what that is, but that's just shy of 20. But for 4 years locked in. So yeah. What are we saying for the? I mean, do we wait to grade the Nets? Do we expect them to pull a big move? I mean, free agents. I don't think there's anyone really.
Nah, I think with signing. Go on, okay.
Sorry, bro. I was gonna say we don't wait because even though this is I would say it's not bad business. They've really kind of inflated the shooter market of everybody else because 4 years, 75 is a lot, even though he's in his prime shooting wise. But also the fact is they gave DeAndre Jordan too much damn money, so they could have given Serge that mid-level.
DeAndre Jordan is this is the super team problem, bruv. Don't let your players run their club.
So he's got the money. He's got that money based on Kevin Durant being bro. And I'm telling you, if he wasn't there, they'd have Jarrett Allen, and they'd also have the money to give Serge, and they'd be one of my favorites out of the East. So
that DeAndre Jordan thing is pure. That's levels to the J.R. Smith stuff. That's a next.
Exactly.
So what we saying as a grade for Brooklyn just as of yet? Because they're looking at
it. I'm combining the last two free agencies just because of that, and I'm going to give him a C minus at best, maybe a D.
Okay, and then not last but not least, because there has been deals. I think we have to wait to see what happens with Washington. Really, I don't know. Bertans, that's a lot of money. Go on then. Let's finish with this, boys. Celtics off season lost Hayward, got rid of some dead bigs. Jeff Teague as a second choice point guard. Tristan Thompson as probably a starting center, but to rotate with small ball for Tice. Go on, hit me with it. What are we saying?
I think C plus, man. Like, I think you guys stayed pretty steady. You guys are still going to compete to a high level again next year, but like, you haven't done anything crazy that's going to put you at a disadvantage next year if a big free agent comes up. So I think you guys are calm, to be honest, man. So this is good.
Man, speaking as a Laker, this is fantastic for me. This is an A+ window because you lot are shafted at least for the year. Because I looked at on paper, the starting five looks solid, but after that, listen.
Well, this is the thing. Playoffs last year. Look, this is it. We had our five, no Hayward, and then we had Wanamaker, and that was it. So, boy, listen.
Based on what you don't like, I'm going to send my tape in. Because you better hope Brad Stevens does some magic. Because I'm going to send some tape.
You're still the team that beat Toronto. But now we've got a man who can rebound.
Oh, man. Caves Hoop mixtape, boy.
Listen, my jab step be crazy, yeah? So that will fit right in the NBA because Melo's made a career of it, but we'll get into that. But
you know what? I think it says a lot about our offseason that this guy up at the top is grinning like he is and gassing his jab step like this. I think maybe C+ is right, but maybe we needed an A- or whatever. Listen, boys, that is look, we're capped time wise. We've got a lot to talk about, and this is the thing: free agency trades they are not over. So it's looking likely we may have to jump into a midweek thing and everything like that. That Harden stuff is quiet, but I don't know if that's completely gone away.
Ain't happening.
Well, I don't know. Do you know what?
I don't think it is either, man.
Okay, Nets maybe not. I still see Sixers as a possibility, man. I don't know why, but anyway,
That'd be a weird fit. That wouldn't work, but yeah.
All right, Niyi, fucking hell.
Yeah, no, don't worry. Niyi's suffering from PTSD, man.
Niyi's a nice guy. Niyi's slightly shit on a lot of people in this episode, but just little ones, little comments and that. But anyway, listen, boys, this has been Courtside Fracas. Thank you all for your time. As per usual, we will be back midweek with an off-season autopsy edition, and then we will be back next Sunday, same time, same pods, same sections, same everything. Updating you with probably a lot more news that comes through as the NBA changes as quick as it does. So, boy, looking forward to that, boys, and we'll see our free agency finishes up soon, and then we can see if those grades change. But yeah, bless up.
Bless.
Peace.
Peace.